Democrats on Capitol Hill are pushing back hard and not letting Donald Trump use the White House Correspondents' dinner incident to try to change topics or talk about building golden ballrooms or talk about banning No Kings protests or try to further divide the country. Democrats are fighting back and they're saying we are not going to take being gaslit right now as Donald Trump says, oh, well, now we need a $400 million taxpayer-funded golden ballroom. Here's what AOC had to say. Let's play this clip.
Donald Trump's been saying for months that the private donors are going to pay for this ballroom, but now your colleagues here in Congress on the Republican side of the aisle are saying that taxpayers are going to be on the hook for this?
Hell no. I mean, you see, this idea that first of all, they did not ask, they demolish the historic East Wing of the White House without any sort of process. I mean, it's actually deeply shocking. And the idea that they're going to make this palace on taxpayer dime after they said that, whatever billionaire they have a sweetheart deal with was going to foot the bill, it's just not acceptable.
Next, we spoke with Democratic Congressmember Menendez. Here's what he had to say as well. Democrats fighting back. Let's play this clip.
What do you make of, for months, Donald Trump has been saying that private donors are going to pay for this ballroom project. Now Republicans in Congress are pushing for taxpayers to pick up the dime?
Yeah, I mean, it's just they're so misaligned with what the American people need and what they want, right? There's an affordability crisis out there. No one gives a shit about the president's ballroom except the president, right? That's the reality. But Republicans will do whatever they can to appease the president. They will not stop, right? So it's another $75 billion for ICE. It is greenlighting this war with Iran that's driving up the cost of living for everybody. Price of gas is up $1.20. Now it's a ballroom, right? It will never end. And that's why Democrats are going to retake the majority in November because people are fed up with this shit.
And what does it say that, when Democrats had the majority, it was you funded roads and bridges. Now they have through reconciliation, and now the reconciliation is focused on keeping masks on ICE agents and building a ballroom. What is it a problem of a messaging that Democrats have had in the past? Because no one talks about the roads and bridges. Everybody talks about ICE and the ballroom.
You don't get credit for landing the plane, right? And Democrats are the responsible ones here. Every day you see it, right? So we need to tell a better story, right? We need to do a better job of communicating our wins because we've had so many of them, but we haven't been effective communicators. So we need to work on that. But at the end of the day, our work is in the right place. It's for the American people. The Republicans' work is to appease Donald Trump, right? So if your name is not Donald Trump, you should want Democrats to be back in the majority. If you are part of the administration, if your name is Trump, then you're very happy with the way things are. But the status quo isn't working for Americans, and that's why we're going to keep fighting every single day.
Next, we spoke with Democratic Congressmember Magaziner. Let's play this clip.
So, Congressman, Donald Trump has said for months that private donors are going to pay for this ballroom project, but now apparently your congressional Republicans want taxpayers to be on the hook for this project. What do you make of that?
They're always looking for new ways to kiss the ring, and we all knew where this was headed. With the Trump administration, the grift never stops.
Right.
Then we heard from Democratic Congressmember Kassar. We asked him about Donald Trump and MAGA now saying the taxpayers, you need to pay for his golden ballroom right now. Here's what Democratic Congressmember Kassar told us.
Congressman, Donald Trump has said for months that the private funds are going to be used for this ballroom project. Now he's saying that taxpayers are going to be on the hook. What do you make of that?
Look, we've got people he's sending to war abroad. He's jacking up the cost of everything, and now he's wanting money from us for his ballroom. He's already asking for it from all sorts of rich people and corporations just to basically keep enriching himself and running this corruption scheme. Now he wants your money for that. So he wants your money for these dangerous wars. He wants your money to pay for masked men to rip up our families. And now he's asking for money for his ballroom. He just needs to, it's just ridiculous.
When Democrats had a majority, it was infrastructure, roads and bridges. What do you make of Republicans are focused completely, entirely on keeping masks on ICE agents and
masks on ICE agents, starting wars and building a ballroom. Trump lied to a bunch of his voters when he said he was going to focus on bringing down costs for you. He's spending his money. When he said he wasn't going to go to war, go into war. When he said he was going to focus on you, he's focusing on himself. That's it.
The prices keep going up.
That's right, man.
By the way, shout out to our Washington, D.C. bureau. The leader, of course, Scott McFarlane, also works with Pablo Manriquez. Pablo's on the Hill getting this incredible footage and asking the questions that you want answered. Here's Democratic Congresswoman Balint. Let's play this clip.
Congresswoman, what do you make of the push by your Republican colleagues right now to make taxpayers pay for this ballroom project that Donald Trump's been going on about for a while? He's been saying that private donors are going to fund it, but now, what, the Republicans in Congress want taxpayers to do it?
Here's the thing. The Republicans will always give Donald Trump whatever he asks for. They don't know how to say no. They have lost the ability to stand up to this man about anything, and I'm not surprised. It's the same thing that happened with the wall, right? Mexico was gonna pay for the wall. It's the same thing all over again. Same movie every single time.
And I guess, what's the value? I mean, Democrats came out and did a reconciliation bill for infrastructure, bridges, roads, and stuff like that. All Republicans are talking about is keeping masks on ICE agents, giving them a decade of funding, and paying for a ballroom?
Yeah. So we want to pay for bridges and roads. We want to keep Americans safe. And what do they want to do? They want to kiss the president's ass over and over and over again.
Congresswoman.
More from Congresswoman AOC right here. Here's what she had to say. Let's play it.
You know, when Democrats are in power, reconciliation was used to fund roads and bridges. The only thing that Republicans seem to be focused on right now is keeping masks on ICE agents and building this ballroom. There's no emphasis on bringing costs down or anything.
The main Republican agenda is to gut your health care, tariff everything that you want to buy, make everything expensive, cut your health care, and give ICE $170 billion so that they can wear Meta glasses and create a database of anyone who protests their murdering of American citizens in the street. And that's their big policy idea. And that is always the challenge between governance, right? Like, at the end of the day, the Republican Party seeks to demolish public good. Whether it's demolishing the East Wing of the White House, demolishing the Affordable Care Act, demolishing Medicare, this is what they seek to do. And the work of building is more visionary, and it's inherently harder than the work of destruction. But, we know what side we're on.
Can I just show you the contrast for a moment? While Democrats were saying that on Capitol Hill, MAGA Republican Senator Lindsey Graham was doing this. Let's play it.
We're going to introduce legislation that would authorize $400 million to be spent to secure to build the presidential ballroom. Underneath, there will be a lot of military stuff. There will be a Secret Service annex, and we've paid for it by offsetting it with custom fees. But the estimate is $332 million. We're going to do $400 million because I think it's probably going to take more. Private donations can be used, but I think they should be used for buying China and stuff like that. Underneath this ballroom will be infrastructure that is national security centric. The ballroom itself will avoid the dilemma of having to leave the White House grounds with future presidents and this president's to go downtown in a place that's less secure. President Trump said to me yesterday, we need the ballroom not just for me, but for future presidents. He literally could have left his bedroom, walked out the back of the White House, and been at the ballroom. That's what needs to happen when you have 1,000 or 2,000 people gathered in today's environment. And the sooner we get the ballroom built, the more hardened it is, the better for the country. So I hope and pray that most people in the Senate after Saturday night will support this bill.
And Lindsey Graham was saying, we can never do events at a Hilton. So bizarre. Here, play this clip.
Well, I find it appropriate if you're going to have the President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, the Speaker of the House, and half the cabinet in a room, the room matters. And the idea that you can't do this in the ballroom will be up to the Correspondents Association. It is insane to do this again. Anybody who suggests that we have an event like this in the times in which we live in a facility like Hilton, that's crazy. We're going to have to accommodate the times in which we live. And Eric, you nailed it. You did. There are people out there that are nuts, being driven to take up violence is an acceptable outcome in too many people's opinion. So no, we're going to build this facility And I would suggest to the next president, don't go to the Hilton.
More from Pablo Manriquez on Capitol Hill inside the Capitol building. Here he catches up with Democratic Congressmember at Horsford. Let's play this clip.
So, Congressman, what do you make of Republican efforts to include Donald Trump's ballroom, quixotic ballroom project in the reconciliation bill to fund ICE?
So at a time when they have already cut health care by $1 trillion, given tax breaks to billionaires and the big corporations, now they want to find money for Trump's vanity project. These are not the priorities that the majority of Americans care about. They want us to bring down cost, and that's what Republicans promised, but their policies are doing the direct opposite.
They haven't done anything to bring down costs. It doesn't look like they're trying to do anything in the reconciliation package either. But what do you make of this concept of, they're saying now that it's not a ballroom, it's a hospital and like a secure bunker?
Yeah, what people care about is their gas prices going up because of Trump's choice to have us involved in a conflict overseas. Again, they will find billions of dollars for bombs, but not the money to reduce cost for housing or health care for Americans right here at home.
Then we caught up with Democratic Congressmember Schneider. Let's play it.
Congressman, what do you make of Donald Trump's attempts to turn the reconciliation bill into a vehicle to fund his ballroom?
Well, it's always about what Donald Trump wants and what makes him more money or puts his name on another edifice. And that's all the ballroom is. It's nothing the American people asked for. It's nothing the American people need at a time where grocery prices continue to rise and are rising faster. Gasoline costs are through the sky, and it's harder for everyday Americans to make it through every day. The president's always focused on himself.
And what is it like being a Democrat trying to negotiate with these Republicans who are obsessed with keeping masks on ICE agents as opposed to, lowering prices for the American people, which seems to be everybody's priority, except theirs?
Yeah, Senate passed a bill, the Democrats support a bill to fund all of DHS except ICE and CBP, and what we're asking for is just the same level of respect we get from our local police and law enforcement. Lower the mask, wear a body camera, follow the law, get a judicial order before making an arrest. Just do the things we would expect from the people, the men and women who serve in our local communities every day, keeping us safe. We could have this resolved in a minute if the Republicans would sit down in good faith and have a conversation.
Then Pablo Manriquez caught up with MAGA Republican Congressmember Norman. Here's what he had to say.
Any updates on the reconciliation bill?
No, I mean, it's still being discussed. The details of it, I think we'll pass it. It's sad we've got to do that for Homeland Security and agents that protect this border. For the Socialist Democrats to hold this up is really mind-boggling.
What do you make of the notion of putting the ballroom on the reconciliation bill?
A 90,000-foot building doesn't need any approval from Congress.
Okay.
It's paid for privately.
Yeah.
And the judge can get involved all he wants. But it's ridiculous.
But I think that last we checked, it's become like a hospital and an underground bunker sort of thing instead of a ballroom. Like that's sort of like what the White House is saying. Do you have any updates on like what exactly they're building?
Most secure building in Washington, D.C., and it should be, particularly with the third assassination attempt. It's needed now more than ever.
But not with taxpayer funds, with private money.
Yeah, you look at the companies that are funding it, it's over 15 to 20 companies.
But you would be opposed to any taxpayer money being put to build the ballroom?
He would have to get approval from that, but no, we've got to have a secure building.
But not through reconciliation is what you're saying? You wouldn't put it on reconciliation?
No, I don't think you need to.
Okay. And I guess last question, Senator Kennedy says that there's only one more bite at the apple for this reconciliation business during the Republican majority. So why not focus on maybe like bringing down prices or something like that as opposed to like keeping masks on ICE agents?
What we need to do is to focus on the SAVE Act, making sure our elections are secure, and to take that off the table. That's a bedrock linchpin of the freedom.
So nothing on bringing down prices?
Bringing down prices, this president's already doing that.
Once
the war is over with, the gas prices are going to come down. He's already taking more regulations off than Biden ever thought of doing.
But the war doesn't seem to be ending, though. It seems to be just kind of keeping on.
Well, he's going to take out the number one sponsor of tariff. If it takes more time, he's going to do it. Main thing, he had the courage to get it done, which no other president has done up to date.
So Americans just need to eat the prices until...
No, Americans, it's going to be a lot better day. And you say eat it. It takes time, and the fact that this president is making big strides toward correcting an Obama administration boondoggle the whole 4 years he was there.
Here's what MAGA Republican Congressmember Fry had to say. Let's play it.
Real quick, what do you make of efforts to include the ballroom in reconciliation?
Look, the ballroom is a national security initiative. I think it's high time that it got done. So however we can get it done, we should get it done.
Got it. Do you think that the American people want something more than just ice funding and a ballroom in the reconciliation package? Senator Kennedy saying that you guys only get one more bite at the apple.
Look, to me personally as a conservative, I'd like to see as much as you possibly can do in the reconciliation product.
But isn't as a conservative, isn't the reconciliation process the thing that's blowing up the national debt more than anything else?
So reconciliation is a vehicle to reconcile certainly things that are going out of whack within the United States, and I think this is a vehicle in which you could do it. Obviously, the Democrats on the other side aren't playing any ball. In fact, they're trying to do everything they can to stop it. This is the ballroom and other things are an initiative of the American people, and we should get it done.
Are your constituents saying that they want mass ice agents though in a ballroom, or are they saying they want lower prices?
Well, I think that they want both, but what they want is a Democrat Party who's actually functional, and the only thing that they're really focused on right now is chastising the president and not doing anything that has been historically bipartisan in this Congress.
Here's what Democratic Congressmember Vindman had to say. Let's play this clip.
Congressman, what do you make of Republicans trying to put Donald Trump's ballroom in the reconciliation package?
I don't think it makes any sense. That's what I think. I think that the ballroom should have been should have gone through Congress at the start, and right now they're trying to jam it, and it doesn't make any sense.
Got it. Thank you, Congressman. Appreciate it.
And just a reminder what Trump said on February 5th, 2025. Here's what he had to say. Let's play it.
But we could use at the White House. It would actually be a beautiful addition. It's going to cost nothing. I'll spend the whole thing myself. We'll do a big, beautiful room, but we could use it at the White House. You know what they do when they have a big ceremony? To put up a tent. And somehow I think we've outgrown the tent stuff, right? Don't you think?
There you have it, folks. We'll keep you posted as always. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers, and thanks for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.